You know, the new year has gotten me thinking about an interesting subject that I've been really pondering the last few days, and I wanted to kind of just like speak on it a little bit because I think it's a subject that doesn't get talked about enough as far as kind of the way we go through stress in life and the psychology of dealing with other human beings. And my message is try to not be a grudger. Try not to hold grudges. You know, it's we all as humans, you know, people do us wrong. We have bad experiences with people. People say things maybe in the moment of being upset about something they don't mean. And this year I've seen that manifest with some people and with things, and also friends, and observing other people's situations with other people. And I've come to find that I think we really exude a lot of unnecessary stress on holding grudges. And a lot of times I've come to find through kind of analyzing it, grudges are usually held over a lot of petty stuff that really could be talked through and forgiven relatively easily. I know there's unforgivables. There's things people do sometimes that, you know, it's really impossible or hard to forgive. But I also think with the unforgivables, we let those fester in us too much. We think about it, and we, you know, sometimes we're able to channel it to a productive place, right? Like maybe like a revenge on someone who did us wrong, and that motivates us to go out and try harder. And I guess sometimes that can be positive. But most of the time, if we let a wound from someone that did something that's pretty unforgivable to us fester, and we allow it to anger us and cause us unnecessary stress, and fill our brain up with unnecessary shit that's getting in the way of more positive stuff we could be thinking about, I think it's really detrimental. And I literally think it takes years off of our lives. And I also think it affects our relationships that are around us with everybody. It affects how we act based on other people's actions. So, for instance, like if you go into a new friendship or relationship or business relationship, if you allow what somebody did wrong to you to make you so paranoid and or stressed out about your next relationship, to where you're going into it with too much trepidation, fear, or judgment, when that person doesn't deserve that at all because they're not that past person, we have to separate that. And I think it's very important. But in the grand scheme, I want to just talk about grudges in general, just not being a grudger. Some people are just habitually grudgers. Like, you know, if you get in an argument with them, or you get upset on a phone conversation or in a text conversation, or even just in general, and you say the wrong thing, or there's some misunderstandings, and maybe someone was in a bad mood and acted a certain way a couple of times that particular time, and it was off-putting to you, so you reacted to it, and it was all very, again, petty. But for whatever reason, the grudger, whoever's the grudger, they hold a massive grudge about it. And it's like, well, I don't want to talk to that person anymore, and I want that person out of my life. And it's like a threat to their ego, whatever it is. I think the message is like, just don't be a grudger to everybody. Like, I don't understand grudgers over petty things, especially. Like, I think there's so much stuff that, you know, you can emotionally react in the moment, you know, like we all get upset in the moment, but are you going to hang on to that for months or years after? Or are you just going to let it go? That's kind of how I've always been. I emotionally react in the moment, and I'll get really upset, especially over petty stuff. Again, there's the unforgivables, but that's a little different. Like, I'm talking about just petty grudges, man, like that just fill up our time with bullshit. There's always just a couple of people that you'll just have grudges with for a certain amount of time, and then it shifts to somebody else. It's like this lingering virus that people have that are heavy grudgers, where it's like they've always got to have a grudge with somebody over something. You know, whether it's a workmate, whether it's a friend, or whether it's someone they were dating, right? Like, I've had that happen, you know, a lot of people have, right, with different people, where it's like maybe, you know, you said something wrong at the time, you were upset about something they said, and it was kind of this like, you know, a lot of times if you're not in person, that can happen too. Be very careful of holding grudges over stuff that happen over phone calls, text, or email. Like, that's the worst kind of grudge, because usually things are taken out of context, and that can be really bad. So I'm just trying to kind of put the idea out to people to maybe think about grudges, and maybe how we shouldn't hold grudges over small petty shit. And for the unforgivables, for the things that are beyond grudges, for the things that maybe somebody did that it's just like, I can't forgive that person for that, for whatever reason you have. I guess that's a whole other analysis of whether or not it's a valid thing, right, to not forgive someone, and that you should be that angry or not. But there are times, and there are people that in my life, both personally and in a working relationship, even in my band, there's a couple. You know, most guys that have been in my band, you know, I famously, you know, White Wizzard's gone through a lot, and I've been through a lot with a lot of different people for a lot of different reasons that you will hear in the story of my band. But there's only a couple that I feel are unforgivable. Like the rest, I could probably have a drink and a hug with them and laugh about it and be done with it, you know. And I think that's important. I think the more we can do that, the better it is for our stress levels. And if the other person can't do that, if it's been years or months and they're just holding on to that grudge, in my opinion, that's something broken within them, and you shouldn't also let it affect you, because that's the other thing we do. If we get past the petty grudge and the other person can't, then all of a sudden it turns into kind of a mixture of anxiety and depression over why they can't, and then we start to just have this dark cloud over us. And I just think it's really important to let it all go, man. Let everything go, let it wash over you, and just turn pages on things. Try to settle up any grudges you have and just let them go on your end, and hope that another person can see it from the same light. And give somebody a hug and just say, fuck it. Because at the end of the day, man, we're on an awful road. This is a short run, man. 2024, man. It is 2024. We're all going to be dead soon, man. Like, I'm sorry, but, you know, people don't like to face that. But life is fast as shit, man. Like, just think about what you were doing, you know, 20, 30 years ago. It seems like yesterday. Well, you'll probably be dead at that length of time again. So when you think of it from that perspective and you realize what a quick run this is, there's so much shit that is insignificant. Like, it's not going to matter. All the shit that you're stressed out about with these people and these grudges you're holding and these things that you're pissed off about, it's so insignificant, man. It's like literally means nothing. Like, the odds that we even exist are, you know, so millions to one. You know, it's a quick run, and then we're dead, you know, and nobody knows if things move on. But I don't think the grudges and things that happen move on if energy is somehow transformed, right? So why are we holding on to all of these things and allowing it to cause stress? Stress shortens your life. It's already a short run. So, you know, along with exercise and good and you know, good eating habits, they talk about that all the time. I just think we don't talk enough about mental health in general, but we don't talk enough about petty grudges and the way that we interact with people and how much that affects our day-to-day life, even in the subconscious. It may not even be at the forefront of your mind, but it's still swirling around in there. And when it does bubble up, it causes stress, and we overthink, we overanalyze, and it just causes so many things. So that's my message for 2024, is just let go of petty grudges. And for the ones that are unforgivable, just say fuck it and move on from it, and don't let it fester in you. And I think it'll reduce stress levels, and it will allow you to have more positive relationships and allow you to move forward with with more light and more focus. So that's my message. Happy New Year to everybody, man, and let's have a good 2024. Rock on.